Hi, welcome to episode 2 of the Consulting Diaries. Thank you for joining us wherever you are in the world. If you've previously been here, that means you've checked out episode 1. Officially a YouTuber now, and we're in episode 2. Thank you for joining. I'm recording this from Joburg, South Africa, so we welcome an international audience as well. So, episode 2. Planning your resolutions. So pretty much the idea is to basically just take you through a couple of steps on how to bank your resolutions for the year, and we'll also have a segment on how we practice after we've banked in our resolutions for the year. As championship mode / consulting diaries, it's always important to follow through and execute. And the reason why I really like doing resolutions is because it sort of sets you up and focuses you on what you want to achieve in the year. So we're in 2022, what you want to achieve in 2022, and sort of track yourself against where you were in Jan, as opposed to just floating through the year, and then you get to August and you feel what did I do this year? So it's nice. You set your resolutions up front, you have something to hold yourself accountable to, and then when you get to November, December, you can sort of reflect. So yeah, let's dive in. Cool. So it's pretty much 3 steps, right? It's sort of saying, before you set your resolutions, these are 3 mega things to do. First of all, define your fears instead of your goals. Right? Once you've defined your fears, you can then sort of put it in a resolutions universe where you say, these are resolutions that came from defining my fears. These are resolutions that come from my lived experience. And you go through a filtering process. And then after the filtering process, you sort of bank in your resolutions. And once we get to resolutions, we can sort of split them into major, and we can split them into minor, and minor resolutions support major resolutions. I find that works for me. So first step, you're probably thinking, defining your fears. I came across this 2 years ago. A friend of mine sent me a link to a TED Talk by Tim Ferriss, where it said, define your fears rather than your goals. And the idea is to sort of say, sometimes defining your goals makes you really comfortable, and can we sort of switch that up by redefining or defining our fears in the first place, right? And then as you keep on doing it, you redefine your fears. So pretty much that's where we're gonna start from. You can check out the TED Talk. I think it's beautiful, it's really brilliant. And he talks about his other experiences as well. So first steps to defining your fears is to sort of create a table, right, where you say, okay, this is the fear that I have. I want to define the fear. So defining the fear is saying, what is the worst case if the fear does happen, right? After worst case, we then go to, how do we prevent the worst case? How do we prevent the worst case fear from happening? Then repair pretty much talks about, if the worst case does happen, how do we mitigate? How do we mitigate that? Then the last 2 are sort of benefits and inaction, which we'll get into more detail on that. But benefits pretty much, if you try to attempt addressing your fear, what is the success that you get out of it? And the cost of inaction is pretty much, if you stick to the status quo, what are you missing out on? And those 2 are interchangeable. So I sent through my idea to a friend of mine, and she was like, well, cost of inaction works for me actually before benefits, because you sort of have to go through the pain before you end up at what the benefits possibly could be. And that made sense. For me, it's sort of what is at stake? These are the benefits. If I don't try to address my fears, then there's a cost of inaction, there's a cost of not doing anything. This is what I will not be achieving. So it's interchangeable based on your experience, based on your preference. So you can go whichever way you want. I actually forgot to say that, there's like slides that you can click on and follow through as I go along. So page 2 would be defining your fears. So yeah, just take a moment. You can literally switch it open in the other tab and just listen to me as a voiceover. You know what I look like. So nothing new over here. So for example, right, one of my fears is being on social media. So worst case is getting 2 likes for championship mode, right? How do I prevent that? I prevent that by being consistent. Hence why we're here with episode 2. How do I repair? Repairing would be like either taking a break from social media or sort of like making sure the content and the messaging that I craft lands on the right audience and the audience that I'm trying to attract, right? And then the benefits would be like, boom, we blow up, we have a credible voice on a global stage, and we can use that for social good. And then the cost of inaction, well, I'll just not be reaching my potential, right? I will not be able to impact change that I would like to. So that's like an example of why championship mode is so important to me, championship mode and Consulting Diaries. So usually first time is really hard to like sit and think about fears like that, because it is a scary thing, but if you sit a couple of times, you do it 2-3 times, you can end up with 1, 2, or 3, and 3 is a good start, right? 3 is a very good start. Cool, we're done with the first step. Second step is we put these defined fears. Out of these defined fears, there are actions, right? Like putting championship mode on YouTube, putting Consulting Diaries on as a YouTube series. So you put these into your resolutions universe, right? And the cool thing about a resolutions universe is it has 2 sources of input. So there's one section that comes from your defined goals, and there's another section that comes from your traditional lived experiences, right? For example, maybe you want to do martial arts, you want to travel, you want to open a restaurant because you like cuisine like that, and then you have like your defined fears like championship mode, or like how to deal with death better because death is a thing that we still like struggle to deal with, for example, so you chuck all your resolutions into your resolutions universe, and then you sort of like now have to filter it, right, in terms of like saying, okay, what are we doing here, right? And this is where a smarter method comes in. So if you click on the next slide, you see the resolutions universe, and then you see a smarter method, which is sort of like a breakdown of filtering. So it pretty much starts from being smart, it's like make sure your goal is smart, right? Specific, it has to be measurable, it has to be achievable, it has to be relevant to your situation, it has to be time bound, and smarter sort of says, well, it has to be engaging, it has to mean something to you, and it has to be rewarding. Otherwise, why do you want to spend time doing it if you're not gonna like get rewarded for it, So, we can go through a couple of examples, but that's pretty much the standard filtering process, right? You have to make sure it's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound, engaging, and rewarding. A smarter method. So, for example, we can use championship mode in Consulting Diaries, right? So, specific. I want a YouTube series, I want a YouTube channel, right? I want a brand. How do we make it specific? By saying, look, I want the Consulting Diaries to be my first YouTube series. Cool. How do we make it measurable? You can say something like, look, I want to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. By November, I want to have at least 1,000 subscribers, right? It's measurable. There's something to achieve, and you can break that down into the monthly time periods, right? Then, is it achievable? Of course, it is achievable. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here, right? A lot out of my comfort zone, because I haven't like been posting myself on social media like that. But now it's like I want to do this. I feel ready. Is it relevant? Yes, because I feel ready. I want to do this. It'll help me, sort of like push my knowledge out there, as well as craft a voice and become credible in the space, right? Relevant, time bound. Yep, we gotta have hit some goal by November, right? And then in December, we reflect. So that's time bound. Then is it engaging? I mean, I love going through my production process. I love teasing you guys when content is about to drop, so it really engages me because it's out of my comfort zone. I have to like ask my friend, what do you guys think about this? Get feedback, tweak this, tweak that, and like, put something that actually like pushes me out of my comfort zone. Is it relevant? It fits into my life goals, my passion is flowing into it. So, it is relevant. So for something like championship mode, that's how it flows. And, you can go through your resolutions to be like, okay, let's focus on this, but make sure it passes the smarter filter. Once it passes the smarter filter, boom, we're done at step 2. Cool. Then you would move on to the next slide, step 3. So step 3 is basically now we're at your resolutions list, right? We're trying to bank in our resolutions for the year. So literally the resolutions that you filtered from, the resolutions universe, they can like form your major resolution. So usually for beginners, I'd say 3 or 4 major resolutions. That's a very good start, challenging, and you have to make sure they push you out of your comfort zone. So the nice thing, or the one thing that I've actually found works, is sort of like coming up with a pseudo list of minor resolutions, and for each major resolution you have a minor resolution that supports your major resolution, and it kind of like makes it simpler sometimes, to go through your process. So your minor resolution goes onto your resolution list, right? So for each major you have a minor, and it's a resolution set, and then you have 3 resolution sets, right? That's your resolution list. So you can either have minor resolutions that stand alone, or minor resolutions that can support a major resolution. So depending on what works for you. But as beginner, if you're getting into this process for the first time, I would suggest 3 or 4 major resolutions. Each major resolution should have a minor resolution, so that you have 4 sets and you don't complicate the thing by having like 4 sets, but they're actually 6 resolutions or something like that, because it's a process that you get comfortable into, right? And doing this sort of like gives you the longevity to be able to like push and pursue your resolution, so that you don't like hit a fatigue because the goal is so big initially and you've now missed one workout. So let's say, for example, your resolution was to work out every day. It's so granular, and it's so big, it doesn't make sense. But if your major resolution was to keep my fitness at a certain level, or to improve my fitness by a certain level, then your minor resolution will be like, okay, cool, at least 2 workout sessions, 2 workout sessions a week, and once you hit 1 workout session, 2 workout sessions, you're working towards the major goal of increasing or improving your fitness. So kind of like feeds back into itself. So for example, championship mode, the major goal resolution would be to grow my brand and put it on a global stage, right? And then a minor resolution would be for me to release my first YouTube series, which is where we currently are, right? So I know you probably notice, okay, putting your brand out there, that's not smarter at all. But I've been doing this for like 3, 4, 5 years, so some of it comes naturally, and my minor resolutions is where most of the accountability sits, right? So 10 episodes per season at least, at least 1 series in 2022, you see? So you kind of build up, and once, as long as you're hitting your minor, you know you're hitting your major. And you know, that's pretty much how simple it is. So that was like an example for championship mode, you know. So pick 1, 2, 3, figure out what works for you, and sort of like boom, bank it in, you know. And literally that's the last step in the resolution setting process, right? So pretty quick, once you like define your fears, step 2, putting it in the resolution universe, is quite simple. And then setting up, you know, your resolution set, that's also like, you know, straightforward as well. Then the last part is sort of like saying, how do we practice, right? We've banked our resolutions, but it's still on paper. How do we practice? And if you have landed on my championship mode page, you know that there's a segment on how we practice, and that's really important for me because I don't want to say things that just hang in the air. You know, it has to be practical, otherwise, you know, it won't make sense, right? So practicality is one thing that I focus on, and this was actually a challenge from my mates, and she was like, look, like this process is nice, but you know, we struggle to get to our resolutions by the time it's June, July, you know, because we're stressed, we're approaching maybe our second or third burnout, and we are looking at this list that we're constantly failing to be accountable to, you know. And I was like, ah, okay, cool, let me think about it. And I sort of like was able to come up with like 4 practice techniques that I think if you sort of like reach the resolutions setting and you try to at least practice 2 of these 4, I think you'll be in a very good position to sort of like hit your resolutions at least till the middle of the year, at least till June, July. So first one is visibly stimulate your environment to signal your resolutions. So for example, sticky notes, vision boards. If you want to start being more frequent with gym, put your gym shoes by the bed. Put your gym clothes under your pillow, you know, so that when you wake up, you see your gym clothes and you know, boom, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, you know. There's no excuse, right? If you want to like read 20 or 30 books, stack up your books by your door, stack up your books on your table, you know, and you know, these books are taking up space, I want to read these books, you know. And then you stop with that whole, oh, I don't have time, right? So physically, like setting up your environment to represent your resolutions, that's pretty cool. The second one, my personal favorite, is using your calendar as your accountability partner, right? For me, I check everything into my calendar. I've been doing this for like 3-4 years, so it's literally like natural. I look at my calendar the night before so that it sort of like frames my mind. My mind knows what's coming. My body is resting for what's coming, and my soul is at peace, right? I hope you caught what I did there. Mind, body, soul. So, for example, I work out 5 to 6 a.m. if I'm going into the office. If I'm at home, it's 6 to 7 a.m. When I wake up, first thing I do is refresh, walk to the bathroom, refresh, come back. My shoes are by the gym bed. Literally, I don't have to walk anywhere to look for my shoes. When I open my cupboard, my gym attire is literally the first thing. I don't have to go search anywhere. I don't have to go search the laundry. Oh shoot, you know, so that you keep the barriers quite low, you know. So I've prompted myself. My body knows what's ready, like what's coming. My mind is ready. It's like, let's do this. Shoes, gym, boom, we go. And literally, I do this Monday to Saturday. Sometimes I forget to set a reminder, but when I wake up, I know what's up because it's in the calendar. I've primed myself. I've agreed that this is the time that I need to put in to hit this resolution, right? Then third one is also about accountability, but in a more simpler way where you ask your friends to keep you accountable. You know, we all have friends, so, you know, the ones you trust, you're like, listen, I'm trying to do this. Can you keep me accountable? Can you be like my progress partner? Can you like check my progress to make sure I'm hitting my goals. I'm attending my gym sessions. Can you help me form these habits? Do you want a partner? And the nice thing is sometimes your friends actually do what you want to do, and ask them, can I tag along like once or twice, but don't become a burden to their process as well, right? Intrinsically, you have to be motivated. They can't motivate you, they can only hold you accountable. Then the fourth one, which literally like wraps up everything, is keep it simple. Be patient, enjoy the process, don't try to complicate things by like saying, oh, I want to be black belt in a martial art. You don't even know what martial art you like. First figure out what martial art you like, and then say, I want to hit 2 or 3 belt improvements in a year. That's a good start, right? And then when you reach year 3 or year 4 in the process, you one up yourself, right? We're getting black belts. I have to have had first dan, by a certain time period, and you slowly build into your resolution. So keeping it simple really works for me. So for example, like I have one of my resolutions is boss my money, as simple and as plain as that. You're probably thinking, well, that fails all the smarter acronyms. But the nice thing is I put all my accountability in my minor resolution. My minor resolution is pretty much to set my strict financial goals. Like literally, I break it up into like 2 parts, Jan to June, July to August. And I sort of like support that by using my financial apps, 22/7, my banking app. And those goals are in my banking app, So by hitting those goals, by using my banking apps, I am bossing my money. You get? So sometimes it really helps to keep it simple. And as you get familiar with the process, some things become automatic. You just need to write down a couple of things and boom, your resolution list can survive. Your resolution list, you're accountable to it, and there's longevity in your pursuit. You don't want to get to July and give up. You don't want to get to July and just be like, oh, I haven't hit anything. It's like that sometimes. But as long as your minors are feeding into your majors, as long as your majors have passed through smarter, pretty much you're good, and you can stick to the process. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Thank you for joining. You know who I am. I'm Championship Mode on Instagram. Personally, I live a blonded life. I'm the Consulting Diaries on YouTube, and on LinkedIn I am Emmanuel Adu Awugu. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the time. Tell me what you think. Tell me how you set your resolutions. Tell me if it's easy for you to be accountable to your resolutions. And yeah, anything else you wanna dive into. I'm officially a YouTuber, so I'm gonna hit you with the company motto: like, share, follow, subscribe. Last but not least, remember to stay in championship mode.